A huge amount of new construction has gone into these Winter Games, much of it entirely unnecessary, with a massive carbon footprint. The environmentalist, architectural historian and author Dr. Barnabas Calder explains.
The decision about whether to go ahead with anything, but building projects are a major example of it. And one of the most spectacular ways you can save environmental harm is to not go ahead with a building project. There is almost no situation in which not building something new is environmentally the wrong decision.
In this, history is repeating itself. The last Winter Olympics in Italy, Turin 2006, illustrated exactly how not to go about building for a sports mega-event. The bobsleigh run at Cesana Pariol was a political choice. They were offered the use of La Plagne in France, built for Albertville 1992. The Pariol run opened in 2005. It cost €110 million, plus €1.5 million in annual running costs for 2 months a year, and closed in 2011. It had been used for about 10 days of competition per year. All that steel and concrete, all that energy overspend, for nothing.
The problem of people justifying enormous upfront carbon emissions for a long-term saving. It's the same with so much construction and so much else that we do for reasons of prestige and competition, that we are spending a resource we don't have in order to have the pleasure of spending it, rather than because we're actually meeting an urgent need. I think this is a much, much more all-encompassing problem than winter sports, and I agree that they're a particularly poignant place to look at it because they are contributing their share to their own annihilation through increasing warming.
The ski jumps built for Turin 2006 closed even earlier, after 5 years, with about 6 days of competition per year. Instead of reusing them for this year's games, they're being scrapped. Duccio Facchini, the director of the alternative economics magazine Altra Economia, has written acres of critical copy on waste and bad practice at the 2026 Winter Olympic Games, including the book Oro Colato.
A livello europeo, adesso l'idea che sia necessario.
Europe-wide, the idea that everything needs to be new bobsleigh runs, new downhill slopes, new cable cars, is a thing of the past. I think the main starting point today is that we should use what we have. That's what people are already doing in events where there is less money involved than in the Olympics. Above all, the thinking behind it is the exact opposite of what should be guiding public decision-making at a time of climate crisis and financial austerity. Instead, you devastate an area for a project that you will use for a month and then forget about, when the only real reason that prompted you to do so is so that you don't have to go to Innsbruck or St. Moritz or, heaven forbid, Turin.
Mai andare a St. Moritz, guai andare a Torino.
It could be part of the brief of a truly sustainable sporting event to say we will host this in the place that can allow these events to occur with the minimum new construction. And so previous hosts of this event uncover your existing equipment, work out what you can make work again, work out how little you can do to enable us to do this here. And then it becomes a completely different exercise, still economically engaging, but rather than spending the money on fossil fuels for more concrete, you spend the money on local workers, rehabilitating, upgrading in low carbon materials, just getting things going again. And that feels to me like a very, very much better way of using the money.
According to Duccio Facchini, the politics on the ground was not focused on the lowest carbon footprint or the best use of public money.
Non era il loro interesse era un altro.
But they had something else in mind, with the aggravating factor that 20 years have passed since Turin and we're making exactly the same mistakes, except that we're spending much more money and scarring more and more of the landscape.
Di aver speso molti più soldi e di aver sfregiato più territori.
But perhaps we should be asking a bigger question. As we destroy the atmosphere with needless fossil-fueled travel and energy-heavy construction, have mega events like Expos, Olympics and COPs had their time?
È proprio tutto il modello che
For Duccio Facchini, the entire model of these games is crazy, spreading them out over such a large area, making travel, consumption and pollution inevitable.
vuol dire spostarsi, vuol dire consumare, vuol dire inquinare, cioè anche solo questo è è folle.
I can imagine the possibility of big events that were extremely sustainable. Since our ancient hunter-gatherer times, there's evidence of people gathering in large groups seasonally for things that probably had some of the exhilaration and communal excitement of the best music festival you can possibly imagine. And there's nothing inherently unachievable about that. And if people were gathering to use facilities that were already there, if as many people as possible were coming by train rather than plane or were watching it on the television, I can't see that elite sport needs to just curl up and disappear to respond to climate emergency, but I think it maybe does need to rethink its relationship, its choice of sponsors possibly, yes, because the positive associations of sporting events, it's a long time since we've allowed tobacco firms to advertise in sporting events, and oil firms are potentially going to make the harms done by tobacco look pretty trivial. Not that they were trivial at all, they were catastrophic, but this is everyone.